Hi, it's your friendly sandwich bar APT solver trying to give you some ideas on solving the sandwich bar APT. So let's take a quick look at what that problem is. We are trying to determine what sandwich we can make, and we need to figure out if the ingredients in the sandwich are actually ingredients we have on hand. So you should review, as always, the problem. And you can see here, for example, that the orders list, which is a list of strings, says, I'd like to make a sandwich with cheese and ham, or I'd like to make a sandwich with cheese, mustard, and lettuce, or I'd like to make a sandwich with ketchup, or I'd like to make a sandwich with beer. Each string is a sandwich I'd like to make, and I need to look at the ingredients that are in there. You can probably get the idea if you're thinking about Python. I'm going to use .split to get the ingredients. For cheese, mustard, and lettuce, I'd look to see, can I make it? Well, I have cheese, I have mustard, and I have lettuce, so I can, but let's check to see if I can make cheese and ham. I have cheese, but I don't have ham in my list of ingredients. What this function that you write is going to return is the index of the sandwich you can make. And if there's more than one, I'm going to return the first index. So I'm probably going to be looping over these possible sandwiches in order from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. As always, you should use the 7-step method and think about how would you solve this by hand. So I'm going to take cheese and ham, break it apart, look at its ingredients, and see if I have them in the list. If not, I'm going to go to here. Cheese, have it, mustard, yes. So I make that and return it. So I'm going to need to loop over some indexes, break my sandwich apart, and see if it's there. So how do I do that? Well, there are a lot of different ways. And let me copy and paste this code into sandwichbar.py and see where we're going. As always, I am strongly suggesting that as you do an APT, you test it first locally. So I'm going to do that by copy pasting some of the examples there. This returns a zero-base index. You write code here. I'm going to replace that with simply return 0 because I like to make sure that my program runs. Then I'm going to come down here to one of these examples and it says, hey, can I make this one? So I'm going to copy that, go back to my PyCharm and paste it in there down here in the main section. I have available, I have orders. I'm going to say index is the result of calling which order with available and orders, and I'm going to print that. I'm going to run this and see what happens. It did print 0. That's a good sign, although that's because I told it to print 0. So just to set things up for an example that's not 0, I'm going to come down here and use these examples because that example is supposed to return 4, and I'm going to try that one. So I'll paste that in here. I'm breaking it over several lines to make it easier to see. Now when I run this, it also returns 0, which my code does, but it's supposed to return 4. So I need to loop over orders and see if they're in available. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to loop over the indexes of orders. And that, I know, means I'm going to need a range. This is kind of the standard way of looping over all possible indices. And I'm going to say sandwich is orders subindex. Now, in pseudocode, it's like if I can make sandwich from available, return index. Because if I can make it, I'm done. And if I've looped over all the indices and I can't make it, I'm going to return -1. Now, I don't have can make. What will happen here is if I hover over this because I don't have it, it will say, hey, create the function can make. I like to do that. And so here I have a sandwich and the available ingredients. And I'd say something like, well, my ingredients, and that's too long to type, so I'm just going to call it ing, is sandwich.split. And I have to loop over each one of those. And if the ingredient is unavailable, I'm thinking, what does that mean? That means I can make it. But I have to check all of the ingredients. So if it's not available, If it's not in available, I can't make it. This is going to be a Boolean function. It returns false. But that's a list. I need to loop over all the ingredients in it. For one in ing, if I can make it, otherwise I'm going to return true. So let me make sure that my logic is clear here. I need to look at all the sandwich ingredients, each one. If they're unavailable, then okay, I need to check the next one. But if it's not unavailable, I know I can't make the sandwich. So this is a case where I can return false as soon as I find one not in the list of available ingredients. So let me just run this. Hey, look, I got 4. I'm willing to go check this online at this point and hope for the best. Let's choose a file. Let's try my APTs. There's sandwichbar and test and run. Have to log in, which means it's not going to work. Go back, test run again. Might be one of my 15th favorite things of all time. And I did pass them all. That's a good sign. And I'm ready to do a green dance. But I want to look at an alternative method, one that will allow us to understand something about sets. What happens here is I have these ingredients and I want to know if all of them are in that list. Well, I've made a list of the ingredients here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say common is, let's take the set of ingredients in that list and the set of the ingredients in available. And what this is set intersection. It says what's in common between this list and this list. And if everything is here is also in here, I'll get this set back. So I think what I can do is I can just say return common equals set of ing. Now that's might be a little strange, so let's see what I did there. I took the ingredients here, all the ingredients, and I turned them into a set. That does 2 things. It removes the unique elements and it allows me to use set intersection. The intersection of 2 sets is what they have in common. So if the elements in this are all in here, what they have in common will be this set. Let's try this version locally. I still got 4, and let's try that version online. I still got 30 out of 30. So that's a great thing, and I'm really happy that I solved this problem 2 ways. Of course, I could replace can make with simply this logic here, but by creating that helper function, I might have made it easier. Good luck and happy eating.